In my neck of the woods, the staple diet that has become the social norm is meat and potatoes, with a big emphasis on the meat. There was rarely a family meal served on my table growing up that didn't contain a healthy portion of some kind of animal protein. Whether it was beef, which it usually was, pork or chicken, meat was just a part of breakfast, lunch, and dinner. According to Mark Bittman's article for the New York Times, written January 27, 2008, Americans consume around 8 ounces of meat daily, which is twice the global average. This fact is astounding on its own and calls for some action. In order to preserve our health, maintain our environment, and make changes in the way we humanely treat livestock, Americans need to reduce the amount of meat they consume in a week. Throughout this speech, I will explain why reducing meat consumption can improve one's health, contribute to changing the way we treat livestock, and help clean up our environment. After taking in all my speech has to offer, I want you to want to alter your diet, not only for your own health benefits, but also for the benefits of the environment that we all share and the livestock we rely on. I want you to get up and be motivated to do the right thing when it comes to treating animals and our environment with respect. I also want you to respect your bodies and get healthier. Most of you will be like me in the fact that you grew up with the same type of meat and potatoes diet that is common to this area. Although reducing a staple that is not only the center of our diet, but also of our livelihood in this area may be difficult, I am positive I can encourage you to make a small change through emotional appeal and facts about health risks. First, and perhaps most importantly, reducing the amount of meat we consume daily can result in overall increased health. According to Ann Harding from CNN Health on March 13, 2012, each additional serving of meat a group of individuals consumed daily during a study resulted in a 13% higher chance of dying early. This startling fact should be a wake-up call for many Americans due to the fact that we consume more than twice the average portion of meat daily versus the rest of the world. The CNN Health article dated March 13, 2012 also goes on to state that by substituting just one serving of meat per day with either fish, low-fat dairy, legumes, whole grains, or nuts could reduce the risk of dying due to poor diet by 7 to 19%. It is clear that reducing the amount of meat from our diet can prevent us from meeting an untimely death or severe health concerns too early in life. However, incorporating more vegetables or non-animal proteins into the diet by themselves has health benefits. According to the USDA's MyPlate.gov website for nutrition, dated 2013, incorporating more fruits and vegetables into one's diet can significantly reduce the risk for heart disease, including heart attack and stroke. The MyPlate.gov website, supported by the USDA, updated in 2013, also states that choosing fruits or vegetables for a snack allows one to eat a larger portion than that of a meat or dairy-based snack, and staying within calorie limits, which helps in the maintenance of a healthy weight. The health benefits of choosing to reduce the amount of meat we consume in substitute of other healthier options are astounding, but the total benefit gained from reducing meat consumption doesn't stop there. Secondly, reducing the amount of meat we consume can result in a healthier environment. According to Mark Bittman's article for the New York Times, written January 27, 2008, growing meat uses up so many resources that it is difficult to put a definite number to all the amounts. Bittman says that 30% of the world's land, not covered in ice, is directly or indirectly involved in livestock production. Also, livestock production is the culprit of almost 1/5 of the globe's greenhouse gas emissions. Bittman's article from 2008 also goes on to state that the environment also suffers from the amount of meat we consume because of the amount of feed needed to support the increased livestock production also goes up. Most of the agricultural products grown in the U.S. are directly related to feeding livestock. According to the EPA in Bittman's article dated 2008, the agricultural industry in the United States is responsible for nearly 3/4 of the water quality issues in our streams and rivers. It is easy to see how much our increase in consumption of meat can affect the environment. The small change of reducing our meat consumption by as little as 1 meal per week can have a strong positive impact, but there is still an area of meat consumption that is of ethical concern, and that is how livestock are treated when slaughtered. Lastly, decreasing the amount of meat we consume can contribute to the reduction of animal cruelty committed in slaughterhouses. According to PETA's website, updated in 2013, because of our increased demand for meat, a new breed of farming has evolved. This new breed of farming is called factory farming and entails large amounts of livestock being held in confined, crowded, unsafe areas for most of their life. This is a new way of satisfying our country's demand for meat, has caused the old ways of humane farm raising to be a thing of the past. Clean open pastures and classic farm images that are still common around these parts are sure to be a thing of the past unless we recognize the consequences of our insatiable demand for meat. Although plenty of farmers and ranchers treat their livestock humanely, there are endless slaughterhouses that deny the livestock we use for food the ethical treatment they are entitled to. I grew up on a farm. My father raised cattle, and I knew all too well what was going to happen to the cows I tried to name and tried to feed. I am not opposed to eating meat, nor am I advocating that we all become vegetarian. I'm simply imploring my audience to reduce their meat consumption, if only a little, in order to eliminate some of the cruel practices employed in factory farming facilities. The Humane Farming Association, whose website was updated in 2011, has conducted investigations and have taken steps to reduce the impact our demand for meat has had on livestock industry by demanding ethical standards for slaughtering animals. However, they cannot do it all on their own. If everyone reduced their meat consumption by 1 meal a week, the stress on the livestock industry to produce would decrease. In conclusion, reducing the amount of meat we eat can be beneficial in many ways. The health benefits alone are enough to make a substantial, factual argument that would be tough for anyone with even a mild concern about their body to ignore. However, even if you aren't necessarily concerned with what you eat, this argument would appeal to anyone who believes in the ethical treatment of animals as well as the environment. I would be hard-pressed to find someone who didn't have a conscience about at least one of these issues, whether it be your body, the environment, or animals. But in my neck of the woods, the staple diet that has become the social norm will most likely now and forever be meat and potatoes, with a big emphasis on the meat. However, as a result of my speech, I hope that I have instilled in my listeners a desire to make a change for the better and reduce their emphasis on meat, if only by an ounce or two.
I like instilled.